Hi, and thanks so much for joining me. Today we are talking about a few new luxury brand items that I picked up from Charlotte Tilbury, by Terry, Chantecaille, and Nars. So if you'd like to see that, please keep watching. Today I just wanted to include a few more items that I talked about in my haul and let you see them in action. We've got the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Foundation, and I have mine in the shade 7, Warm. I also have this by Terry Brightening Cece powder that I've had my eye on for a while, and I have it in apricot. In addition, I've got a couple of Nars Eyeliners that I wanted to share with you that I picked up recently. I've been wearing those every day. And then finally, the last thing I'm featuring is this beautiful Chantecaille eyeshadow. This one's in Giraffe. I talked about Lion previously, so we're going to talk about that one as well. So we'll try them on first, and then I'll give you all the details and my thoughts at the end. Just have eyebrows on right now. I'm actually going to start with the Giraffe shadow this time. I have used it a few times. I'm not quite sure of the fallout yet, so I thought I'd start with this just in case. I'm going to try this one both dry, and then we'll add some water in a little bit. So I just have a fluffy brush here. I'm going to just sweep it all over my lid. I wore this morning, and I just quickly applied it just like this. This is a Ray Morris fluffy brush, number, I don't know, 7.5. And I do like these shadows wet versus just straight dry like this. Again, these have a beautiful shimmer, but every so often there's a sparkly bit. There's some intensity to these. I wore the shade Lion in the previous video. If you wanted to see that on, it's a pretty nice warm, I think it says copper, but it's more like a golden shade on me. So here it is, it's just on my lids, and I'm going to take a little bit on this brush here. I used this before. It's a Smashbox it's a Smashbox shadow liner brush, but it's shaped more like a tapered brush or pencil brush. It reminds me of a calligraphy brush. And so I just added some water. It made a little bit of a pasty type texture, and then I'm brushing it on. I really like these as a wet shadow versus a dry. I think you can probably get the same effect with a different kind of shadow in terms of the dry application, but this is very unique to me in terms of how it looks when it's applied this way. It's a bit of a gold shimmer in here, which comes out more when you apply it this way. I think I maybe did a little bit too much water, but it'll dry. Really pretty. So I think you really bring out the qualities of the shadow. Hopefully the light's catching it as I look down when you add water. I'm taking a little bit as well with this brush. It's just an Urban Decay flat brush. It came with the palette. And I'm just going to run it underneath my eyes as well and see how that goes. It gives that shadow way more dimension, even more than what you can see in the pan here, I think. It looks like it would have more of a reddish shimmer, but it has more of a goldish type of shimmer to it. I'm gonna go ahead with my two Nars eyeliners that I picked up recently. I've got one in Mambo. I usually don't like to read reviews before I've actually worn the product myself to form my own opinions. So after I wore this a couple weeks and I love it, one of the main complaints, I mean not complaints, it has pretty high reviews, but one of the pieces of feedback is that it's not a twist up. You need to sharpen this with a sharpener, and I can see the point. I prefer the convenience of a pencil that just kind of, you know, you can either click or twist it up. But this one, you know, is the traditional pencil. So it's a nice warm shade, really complements this Giraffe well. So I'm gonna take the other one in Mulholland Drive and put that one in the waterline. It's got a bit of shimmer. Actually, reminds me very much of Giraffe, but in that eyeliner form. This might have a bit more warmth to it though, but it has the same shimmery quality. So side by side, Mulholland Drive has more of a reddish tone in the shimmer versus Giraffe, which has more of a golden tone. I'm just gonna go ahead and add some mascara, and I'm going to tightline with a black liner just right on the inside here, and I'll be right back. So I've added eyeliner, mascara, and just a little bit of a liquid liner just to define that lash line a little bit on the top. I didn't really get any fallout with that Giraffe, although I did notice sometimes with metallic, it's a little bit of a stark contrast between where the line ends or where your shadow ends, and then I have no makeup above that. So I'm just going to take my powder, and it's the Airbrush Flawless Finish number 2. And I'm just going to kind of blend it together, just so there's more of a gradual blending into the rest of my skin here. I just want to soften it, really, is what I'm doing. Next, we're going to go in with foundation. I did prep with the Magic Cream. I've been using this with my Even Up, and I'm sorry I did not explain that the last time. Even Up is my sunscreen. It's by Color Science. It's SPF 50. It brightens, corrects, and protects. So there's a bit of intensity to it. So it makes, for application, it does impact application. Now, this is not a foundation I wear every day. It's a little bit more of coverage than I need or actually want on a daily basis. So I thought I'd show it to you just with the Magic Cream as my base. Although I think I would wear this more as like an evening kind of thing. I know it says it lasts all day, and that's one of the qualities that they built into this. The color match is almost perfect. I mean, it's a pretty good color match. And I have recently been re-color matched, so go ahead and check below for an updated list of my foundations. I'm a little bit lighter now. Where is my brush? It's right here. Okay. So I'm just going to take a Shiseido foundation brush, and I'm starting in the middle. I always do because I need more coverage there, and then I'm going to gradually sweep this out. I have to say the Magic Cream makes a big difference. It's such an emollient cream, and I think that's what you need with this. So if you have drier skin and you're struggling with this foundation or having some issues with it clinging to dry patches, make sure that you have hydrated or exfoliated and hydrated, because that will make a difference. I noticed if I have any dry patches, this will cling to it. And if my skin is not prepped properly, this does not perform as well as it can. So I definitely put this one on when I have more time to pay attention to what I'm doing. It's not one of those foundations you just kind of slap on, but once it's on, it is beautiful. I mean, this is a serious foundation. I think the long wear aspect of it is what I'm feeling in the texture, but it doesn't look like a heavy texture on the face. So I went in with about a half a pump at first, and I think that was more than enough. I really don't need a heavy foundation for my skin. I do need concealing though, so that's why I go kind of light on the foundation. You can build this up really nicely, but for me, I just try to cover the areas that need covering and really try to let my skin show through. So if you like light coverage, this is not a light coverage foundation. If you like full coverage though, you will get what you want out of this one. So that's one layer of foundation. I mean, it does a really nice job of covering up those fun spots I have. Let's go ahead with one of my favorite new things. If you caught that video, game changer. It is the number 2 in the color corrector, the Magic Vanish. And it's like, it magically helps things vanish. I'm looking for things that I think are in front of my face. Okay, I'm just gonna use my finger and tap it in just so we can see what that looks like. So this is the Magic Vanish. Usually I use a brush, but I don't know what I did with it. It was here. Okay, so let's just tap this on. And then I'll go under the eye too in case you missed that video. Great texture for both under the eye and then anywhere else on your face. What I'll do is I'll conceal and then add this powder. I'll finish off with this powder. So let me go ahead and do that really quick. I actually thought before I powder, let me just show you what it looks like once it's all concealed. So if you've been watching, you know that I've been using honey for a long time, but then needed a little bit of a cooler tone to it, so I went into mocha. And so now I actually use both of them. So in one video, my previous video, you can see just mocha alone, but today I went in with color corrector and then both honey and mocha. So I thought I would show you what this looks like before I powder and then with powder. This is of course the Airbrush Flawless Finish by Charlotte Tilbury in number 2. And I just take my Kevyn Aucoin, this is the buff, super soft buff powder brush, and I just stamp it onto the center where I did all that work, just so I don't disturb anything. And then here I'll actually buff it on. But I just wanted to show you the difference between powdered versus not powdered. Now I haven't tried this without powder, although it seemed to set quite nicely by itself. So depending on your skin type, I'm sure that has something to do with how much you need to or how much you don't need to set. I have been setting this though, and it does really well. So those of course work beautifully together. That's not a surprise. They're both Charlotte Tilbury products. I'm gonna take a little bit of the By Terry because I picked this up recently and it's got a brightening element to it. It's the Brightening Cece powder, and this is an apricot glow. And I'm surprised I didn't pick up the bronze shade of this, the Sunny Flash. But Sunny Flash tends to be a little bit cool on me, so I was looking for something warmer. And I also wanted it just for the center, because what can happen here is with all of that makeup, sometimes it can deepen it too much. So then I'll go in and kind of just pat it in this area right from the center of my face to my cheekbones, just to make that a little bit more continuous. And I recently got a comment that there's a glow about my skin, and I think it's this. This has been one of the newer things I've been using. Between the color corrector and this, that might be what the comment was originating from. It's very subtle. I think you can see very subtle, but it does kind of just lift it. If you've used a lot of concealer before, you know sometimes it can kind of not get muddy, but it can have that feeling like a heaviness to it. This just brings that lightness back. So you can see right there, it's just slightly reflective. And I don't go all over my face with this. I just mainly use it here on those higher points where I've used concealer. It's just a nice way to bring those features a little bit forward and take that heaviness away. So I'm gonna go in with my Charlotte Tilbury blush, and I just recently rediscovered this. It's so pretty. And then if I feel like I went too far with that, then I just take this brush, like I think I went a little too far. I just love, when I get into blush, I love it too much, and then it's a lot. So I go in with the powder and I just buff it in. Also melts everything together really well. I'm going to go in with my Chantecaille. It's a lip veil in Honeypot. It has a nice, kind of a cool tawny tone to it. I think I may just go around with a little bit of bronzer just to get that into the hairline, just to make that a little bit less stark. You can see here. So if you have that issue like I do, or just a little bit too much of a contrast, then bronzer does a really nice job of blending those two together. Okay, so let's start with the first item I tried on, which is this Chantecaille shadow in Giraffe. It is very beautiful. It's nice to use dry. I like it. It's very subtle, but you really see that intensity once you add the water in. So it looks like it would have more of a reddish hue to it, but it's more of a golden shimmer, which I think is so pretty. I feel like I should invest in the other ones too, at least. The Rhino one looks really interesting. So these are beautiful if you were wanting to get one. Someone asked me, are they worth it? And I let them know with any luxury brand product, it's luxury brand pricing. So it's a very nice thing to have, but rarely is a luxury item a necessary thing to have. So really, luxury brand items, again, are nothing that we need, but they are just really luxurious things to enjoy if you have the budget for them. The next thing is this foundation. Actually, when I first got the sample, I tried it on with my regular skin preparation with moisturizer and my sunscreen, and honestly I was not getting a good result from this. And I thought, let me try this some different ways. And the person at the counter at Nordstrom, she color matched me and then gave me a little sample, and she said, let me give you this magic cream sample along with it, because that's how it works really well. What was happening was, before with my regular skin prep, it was catching on dry patches. I have lots of dry patches. I use a prescription Retin-A, which was prescribed by my dermatologist, and it's constantly peeling. So there isn't a day when I don't have little dry patches. So I noticed it was emphasizing those. I also noticed that if I had any like pores, it would kind of end up in them, especially not so much here, but on my forehead, it would end up in my pores. So you could kind of see them settled in, but that's because my skin wasn't prepared properly. So with the Magic Cream, it's very emollient, and I waited about 45 minutes before I applied this. So I really worked it into my skin, let it settle in, and then went in with this after. So if you're having trouble with this, I don't know, actually, like I said, I don't really read the reviews, and I know there've been so many videos posted, so if you are my friends with videos on this, I haven't watched your video because I wanted to make my own thoughts around this first. So I'll go back and watch your videos now. First thing I noticed is the packaging. Very beautiful, very luxurious. I expect nothing less from Charlotte Tilbury when it comes to things like that. The pump on it is great, very sanitary. I like that. Not the best for travel. It's a heavy glass bottle, but it looks beautiful on your countertop. Looks really beautiful there. It's not liquidy in any way. It does set very nicely. So that's the long wear piece of it, I believe, is why it feels like that. I'm looking at it on my hand though, right away, it like has a more youthful appearance to just that part of my hand that has it on there. This was hard to find in terms of my shade online, so I would recommend going in to get color match first. Again, mine's in 7 warm, so if you have a hard time finding something with a warm undertone, then this is really nice. I mean, it's not so warm that it looks yellow on my skin, but it is a very like almost perfect color match for me. I know this is very wordy, but this is if you want a lot of information about this. I wanted to make sure to include that. It's got Replexium to reduce the appearance of wrinkles by up to 22% after 8 weeks of use. So there was some skincare benefits in here. It's got a Moss Cell Tech. It boosts hydration by up to 216%. Air Cool for an instant fresh feel on the skin. I didn't really notice that sensation. Has a unique CT defense that is designed to limit exposure of the skin to everyday pollutants. So there's kind of a barrier. Gives a flawless, poreless looking finish. I don't really think about my pores that much. I mean, I don't really notice that much of a difference in my pores. I don't know. I don't really notice that much of a difference. They don't look any worse though. It's sweat proof, humidity proof, waterproof, and transfer resistant. It's been pretty hot here, so I can say that it does stay in place. Really nice for that. Transfer resistant, I mean, yeah, you can tell it's not going anywhere, but I don't think it's transfer proof. Let's get a little, I'm just gonna get a little paper towel here. And there, I mean, it really didn't move. So that's nice because I can always get makeup all over my car. Yeah. So it does a pretty good job of staying put. I did notice that. So far, I do recommend this, and I would recommend this as well. This would be one of those foundations for me that I would rely on to look great in photos and just to perform for something like an event. I neglected to talk about these pencils by Nars, the ones in Mambo and Mulholland Drive. Really beautiful. I've been wearing them daily. Again, the only thing that is a drawback of these is that they don't twist up. You have to sharpen them when they get dull. So make sure you have a sharpener nearby. And yeah, can't say enough about these beautiful shades. The Cece Brightening Powder by Terry. You would think that this would not be a great color for me, but it's really nice. Again, I think you could see how it lifted that part of my face, give it some nice dimension, especially when you finish off, sorry, my hair is in my mouth. Especially when you finish off with a powder, sometimes things look like one-dimensional, but this really brings out the areas, especially if I also have concealed there and it's looking a little heavy. It brings some lightness back to my face in those areas. So I've been really enjoying this. Plus, it does have a fragrance, but not offensive in any way, but there is a distinct fragrance in case you are sensitive to that. Really pretty. So I would also recommend this as a supplement, and I didn't even go in with my Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder this time. I just lightened up in this area. Oh, and before I go, I just want to include, because sometimes I forget and then you have questions and I forget to answer them. No, not that I forget to answer them, I forget what I used. So I'm just gonna include that really quickly. I did go in with the La Mercier Intense Moonlight Caviar Stick. I just picked this up today, so if you watch me on Instagram stories, then you'll know that this is Saturday, and I just picked this up today. I just put that in my inner corner there really quickly. And then I also went in with the Fenty Beauty Cocoa Naughty Bronzer, just to do to a very subtle bronzer around the perimeter. And then I also use the beautiful Hourglass highlight strobing powder, which I kind of forgot about, but I forgot how beautiful it was. It is a really refined kind of highlighter. Okay, and that's it. Let me know if you like this format. So a couple things I've been doing is I've been shifting my review piece and the details around each product to the end in case you don't care about that and you just want to see them on. That's why I try to include more information, because if you are tuning into the details, it is my thinking that you want to hear more about the product. So that's why I'm trying to include more details as well. So even though it's at the end, it's a little bit longer now. I'm also trying to include more products in one video so you can see little snippets here and there. And since I only post usually once a week, if I have more time, I'll post two, but usually I just have one. So that lets me include a few more products in 1 week. So that was a long video, I think. I feel like that's gonna be long. I hope it's not a long video. If you did make it this far, let me know with like a little, what should you leave me? Leave me some little lipstick emojis if you made it all the way to the end, because I congratulate you if you did, because I feel like I've been talking forever. So if you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. We were talking about a few new luxury products I picked up by luxury products I picked up from a few new luxury brand products. Why can't I speak today? We've got the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Air, what is this called? Is in Mambo. Not awake today. So I'm gonna go ahead with my Nars eyeshadows. These are not eyeshadows. I'm gonna go ahead with my Nars eyeliner. I'm gonna go ahead with my Nars eye. Is that it? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Was there something else I was gonna try? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I don't know where my mind is today. Okay.